I mean,
You understand?
yeah.
So
I mean,
that plays a lot. But before we end the segue, man, I something that's been heavy on my mind. I'm looking at the surveillance camera. Now, I don't know if you guys ever experienced being shot or shot at or seeing it from afar. Shock is one thing. Anyone can tell you, me from experience, they can kill you. That's being in shock. Now, you say to yourself, this young man was doing so much for his people and his community, and giving them time, it probably would have spread it out bigger than Los Angeles. I'm almost certain. And it may just will, because once it's something good, that's why it's the marathon. Somebody got to pick up the torch and keep running with it.
Absolutely.
So, when you look at the surveillance camera, I won't go into detail the conversation he had or whatever the case may be, but the young gentleman, I forgot his name. Who's the shooter? Accused shooter?
I don't know. We're not going to mention his name.
Hilton or something like that. But, I mean, we can mention it because it's all over the media.
I mean,
alleged. But my thing is, it was so easy. Nipsey was so comfortable, and that's the scary thing about going back to the neighborhood. I often, once in a blue moon, go back to my neighborhood on York Road. And one time I came up there, my cousin called me up. He said, yo, I'm not going to make it. He said, yo, but get away from there. I'm like, why? He's like, yo, there's a new breed out there, man. And these young boys, you know, these wolves got rabies. You know? Get away.
It's poetic, you know what I'm saying?
You know, get away. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, say no more. You know? But the fact was, I was comfortable. You had that sense, I'm home. I can hang out in front of Cornerstone Lane like this.
I mean, because it is home.
This is where I grew up at. Ain't nobody going to do nothing to me.
It is
and
home.
You get your guard down, boom. From what I heard, he got shot in the leg. The fact that he had an argument with this young man ran off, got a blicky, a Yule gun, whatever you want to call it, went past two people. Now, his security was unarmed.
I mean,
That's
they're comfortable.
rare.
They're comfortable again, you know what I'm saying?
That is rare. He can pop in the leg, pop the other two gentlemen, he falls on the ground. Young man runs, he notices that Nipsey is moving, he stops. Why does he run? If you look at it, he's running because in his mind, like, oh, damn, I popped them, they're going to shoot back. Like if somebody had a gun on him.
You thought they would be like return fire.
Yeah, he wouldn't. This wouldn't have never happened. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was just ironic, day and time, circumstances.
It was like the middle of the day. It was the middle of the day, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is
You understand?
crazy.
So when you look at, real quick, when you look at the video, he's running, but he's like, what the hell?
He's surprised nobody's shooting back.
I'm shot. Okay, let me finish the job. Bang, 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 bang.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it goes back. I think we said something like this on an earlier podcast. We was like, it's an old theory that we can't blame the white man for everything. Yeah, we could say that he put the ink in the water.
The seed or whatever.
Yeah, he put the ink in the water, but we're drinking it. And more layman terms is like, okay, he trained us to self-hate one another.
True.
He trained us to distrust one another. You understand? And that trickles down a generation, now to the point where it's an old mental theory that I have, like if you see a group of white boys walking across the street, 9 times out of 10, we don't want to admit it, and we battle with ourselves.
That what?
We walk right through them. But if we see a group of black men walking towards us in a certain neighborhood, what's your first thought?
Cross the street.
Crossing the street.
And so, like, yeah, I think psychologically, we damaged goods. You know what I'm saying? As a people, you know. Look at the Willie Lynch letter. Look at the Willie Lynch syndrome. Is what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Anybody never heard of that? Go take a look at that. It'll blow your mind. You know. And so it gets to a point where we are psychologically damaged, you know what I'm saying, to a degree, from internal forces and external forces, you know what I'm saying, things within us and things outside of us, you know what I mean? And so it gets to a point where, you know, we self-perpetuate in this hate, you know what I'm saying? We hate ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We don't like that our hair is kinky. We don't like that our noses are broad. We don't like the color of our skin, you know what I'm saying? We hate ourselves, you know what I mean? And it has been taught, but now it's in autopilot, you know? It's in cruise control. Now they don't have to do anything. You just step back and watch us do it to ourselves, you know what I mean? And so the unfortunate thing is that we program they instill program of fear inside of our minds, and then we fear ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But in a lot of ways, you know, it's justified because it's dangerous out here. It's dangerous out here, and you know, we are fathers with children, and I don't know about you guys, but I think about, you know what I'm saying, my children all the time, like, and they get into an age where they coming into adolescence, and you know, and everything associated with being a teenager, you know, that's what I'm gearing up for, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm concerned about having to teach our youth how to move through the street, you know, how to maneuver, you know what I'm saying, in a community to survive their environment. We in a constant kind of sense of heightened awareness, you know what I'm saying? When I say heightened awareness, I mean like we always in fight or flight mode. And that's because we literally living in a battleground, you know what I mean? We step outside and it's a war zone, you know, and it's because we being aimed at internally and externally, within the community and outside the community, within ourselves and outside of ourselves. So we got a lot of healing to do, you know, as a people, you know, and this topic of us killing us is it needs more attention, in my opinion. You know, it needs more light to be brought to the conversation, and I'm glad we got platforms like this to kind of discuss those sort of things, because
no doubt.
we don't see it discussed or in the media or on TV or on the radio anywhere, really, like the relevance of it and how tragic it is, and what's being done about it, you know what I mean? And why is it happening, you know what I mean? And it's always unfortunate that, you know, individuals that are, you know, well known and well liked, you know, they're in the spotlight and they're living their lives and they're tragically taken out. You look at XXX You look at what happened with Nipsey Hussle. But what about the young people who are not as well known? People who are everyday people who still victims of homicide, still victims of genocide. Where's their story being told at? Nobody knows, you know, that grief. Nobody knows that pain. We know about what happened to Nipsey because he's a celebrity. He has a platform. There's boys and girls all around the country, all around the world who are victims of this self-loathing, this self-hate, this genocide. You know what I'm saying? This problem of us killing us. That their stories go unmentioned. They go unmentioned.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before we end this segment. That's real deep. I'm about to hit you in your head with this one. Sympathy for the accuser. How do you feel about that? Now, before you answer...
When you say it's elaborate on what you mean when you say that.
Sympathy for the accuser. Sympathy for the killer. Sympathy for the rapist. Mm-hmm. Sympathy for the person who committed the crime. Before you answer that, do we put them in our prayers? Because these are sinful acts that can be forgiven if you're a person of God. These are sinful acts that where the person could eventually learn from their ways throughout time and say, I effed up 10, 20 years ago, man. I'm not that person no more. So where's the sympathy for the accuser?
Let me say this. It's to kind of, my answer to that is kind of two parts. You know what I mean? One part being, look at you gotta look at the whole picture. You see what I'm saying? We see the end result. We see the murder. You know what I'm saying? We see the crime being committed. But look at all the events. Look at the time and the years and all the things that happen throughout the whole life cycle that leads up to that murder. You know what I'm saying? So, look at the whole picture. We can't necessarily come to a conclusion without knowing what's the underlying reason, what's behind it. It's kind of like you gotta kind of be strategic in the way you look at things by being able to analyze the whole story. We just see the end of the story. You want to condemn, boom, condemn. You know what I'm saying? But often the hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Often the abuser was abused. You know what I'm saying? And who stopped them? Who stopped the abuser from being abused? You know what I'm saying? It never happened. You know what I'm saying? Which leads to the second part of that answer for me, which is a saying that I heard just today, actually. A saying that I heard, and it says, support your brother, whether he be oppressed or the oppressor. Support your brother, right? So help someone, right? Whether that person is being oppressed or that person is an oppressor, right? So when a person is being oppressed, we know how to help our brother then. This person is going through a hard time. They being treated wrongly. They being oppressed. I can stand up for them. I can support them. I can help them. We get that part of the equation.
Meaning pray for the oppressor.
Meaning, hold on, it gets deeper. So, when a person is oppressed, right, we can stand up for them, right? But then also on the flip side of that coin is, and support your brother when he is the oppressor. And so the question becomes, how can you support your brother when he's committing a crime, or he is the perpetrator of the crime, for lack of a better expression? He is the oppressor, right? And the answer to that is simply this: stop him from being the oppressor. That's how you help him. You help him by stopping him. You see what I'm saying?
And help them rehabilitate.
Because what people don't factor into this homicide thing, you know what I'm saying, or this genocide thing, is that when you take life, right, not only are you taking that life, of that person who's the victim, but you losing something yourself. A part of you dies. You see what I'm saying? A part of you dies when you take life. You know what I'm saying? You're never the same again after that. You hear people who involved in combat in the military and things like that. They come home with PTSD and all sorts of things from the things that they've seen and that they had to do. You know what I'm saying? So you lose on both sides of the equation. You know what I'm saying?
Just to piggyback real quick. Childhood friend of mine. And we knew each other since kindergarten. In '99, he committed a census body. And man was at odds at that time, but we allowed our childhood history and what we've been through as young men in the street swash it, but at the same time, it would never be the same, but it was at least squashed with respect, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, man, if you knew somebody I knew this cat since kindergarten, He's now serving 55 years.
Wow.
But the conversation we had on that bus stop on York Road in Winston, I'll never forget. Just to say what you just said, He was never the same. Mm-hmm. It felt like he died. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the same person.
A part of him was gone.
Absolutely. And he was like, that's when I turned myself in.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I just want to do the right thing. Yeah.
He said he just wasn't the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes from you. You know what I'm saying? And so we hurting people, you know what I'm saying? And so I guess the moral of the story is try to get well, yo. Try to heal. You know what I mean? And it's a process.